came prepared a lot to talk about the Donbass, but after seeing the documentary, I'm just totally taken aback. So I'm just passing on my talk to Advocate Mitesh. He will be talking to you all about my views and his views too. Thank you.
This documentary is about children of Donbass. So this whole story has covered the fact that what Ukraine has been doing in Russia. So this has been happening for the past 8 years, from my understanding, from what I watched in this documentary. So I see that children have been walking day to day, when the Ukrainian artillery fires have been happening on day-to-day basis. There are a lot of children who lost their parents, their families, and everybody, who are sadly orphaned. However, they still have hope for a better future and better dreams to become teachers, engineers, doctors, advocates. Hopefully, one fine day they make their dreams come true. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
அவர்களே, திருமதி டாக்டர் ரேணுகா தேவி அவர்களே, சமூக ஆர்வலர்களே, ஊடக நண்பர்களே, உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் மீண்டும் மாலை வணக்கங்கள். போர்க்குளத்தில் விழுந்து மடிவது சின்ன சின்ன பூக்களும் தான். அப்பாவி பூக்களுக்கு நாம் ஏன் கொல்லப்பட்டோம் என்பதே தெரியாது. ஆம், இந்த பூக்கள் தான் குழந்தைகள். உயிர்களில் ரஷ்ய உயிர்கள், உக்ரைன் உயிர்கள் என்னும் வேறுபாடுகள் உண்டா? கிடையாது. அனைத்து மனித உயிர்கள் தான். புதியதொரு உலகம் செய்வோம், கெட்ட போரிடும் உலகத்தை வேரோடு சாய்ப்போம் என்பதை பாடினான் தமிழ் கவிஞர். நமக்கு போர்கள் வேண்டாம், அமைதி, சமாதானம், அன்புதான் வேண்டும். ஒரு பத்திரிகையாளர் என்னும் முறையில் அகிம்சையை விரும்புகிறேன். நாடுகளுக்குள் போர்கள் அனைத்தும் அமைதி திரும்பட்டும். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Day of Children's Protection, Children's Day, which is celebrated all over the world and especially in Russia. And the children are the most important part in our lives. We all have to treasure them and to give them every protection so they could grow like normal and very responsible citizens. But this time, nowadays, we are going through very difficult times. In this world, some things are happening which are very tragic in nature. And what we have seen just now shows that the children's fate is not secured, especially in some parts of Ukraine, where hostilities are going on. And what we have seen is the fate of the children of Donbass, who have been under constant shelling since the year 2014. For 9 years, those areas have been under shelling by Ukrainian forces. In 2014, there was a coup d'etat in Ukraine, and neo-Nazi and fascist forces came to power. And the people of the Donbass and Lugansk Republic, they were opposed to this. And they said that we will not live under Nazi regime, and they declared their will to secede. The Russian government tried negotiated with the Ukrainians, and then Germany and France also stepped in, and an agreement was signed on normalizing the relationship between Ukraine and these two republics. But Ukraine did everything to sabotage this agreement, and in spite of this agreement, they have been bombing residential areas of those cities for 9 years. And since last year, the bombing has only intensified. And you saw that now only ruins are left in many of the Donbass cities. And primarily the city of Mariupol was shown, which was liberated 1 year ago from Ukrainian occupation. But the Ukrainians have done a lot of damage to the city. Most of the buildings are no longer good for living. They are no longer residences. All the schools in the city, and there were more than 8 of them, they were all bombed, and most of them are destroyed, and they couldn't be rebuilt. And new schools have to be built. So the construction work has started, and it's been going on for the last year, and many new areas were built up with new housing, and some schools were renovated, and some new schools were built, so the life is picking up in the Donbass region, and the children feel much better. But the fact is that now the West supplied Ukraine with long-range weapons, and the Ukrainian Nazis, they started shelling city again, because some of the weapons have 300 kilometers distance. So they can bomb this, they can shell the cities from the distance of 300 kilometers. And they again selected Mariupol as epicenter of their bombing, and the children are again dying there. So, of course, they live much better than under Ukrainian occupation. You saw that the children had to live in the cellars for most of their lives with very little food and with very little water. And many of the children, very young children, they were killed. And in the Donetsk city, which is the center of the Donbass region, there is a whole alley of graves where the young children are buried. So they lost their lives at a very tender age, and their parents are grief-stricken, and for many parents of many of those children were also killed in bombing by the Ukrainian Nazis. But the Russian government is doing everything to improve their lot, and now that you see that now they have started attending schools, and the life is getting better, and the children, you will see again smiles on the children's faces. But of course, the scar of the war will remain in their souls for a very long time. And our government is doing everything to help them to get over this as soon as possible. And what I would like to say, that the war is looming large over Europe, and the hostilities are going on in Ukraine, and the Ukrainian Nazi government, supported by Western powers, supplying lethal weapons, which is used for killing innocent lives. Ukraine government is not going to stop. And every day we hear about Ukrainian Nazis shelling Ukrainian cities. This is very sad, but we are doing everything to prevent them from this. And I hope that it will be soon over, and the children will again see much better time, because the children, a happy childhood for every child must be ensured, and this is what the Russian government is doing. So it's very difficult for me to speak now after what I saw there, but life goes on, and I hope the children will recover from the scars of the war and will be happier again.